Welcome to Beacon of Speech. I'm Fred Hunt. That's Ted Coley. Hey, Ted Coley. Welcome to Beacon of Speech. What is Beacon of Speech about? We are selling freedom of speech to everyone. We're going to take freedom of speech away from the North Koreans today. Doesn't that sound exciting?
They deserve it.
They don't deserve freedom of speech anyhow. What is Beacon of Speech? Free speech is under constant assault in America today. The problem is it's coming from two places very hard to fight. From the left, in the form of PC madness, which we'll get into. From the right, from the corporations, which we may or may not get into today. But they're still evil corporations nonetheless. Okay, the concept that we're all in this together is lost in America. America is supposed to lead by example. Do we force its will? Do we force our will on the other countries? Of course we do. What are limits to free speech? Pure evil. Like Dr. Evil. You know, I'm going to steal $1 million. Okay. Now, I am bad with my housekeeping. Okay, Ted? So,
and as you can see, so am I.
Oh, no, you're fine. Ted's got a pile of bills over here that he's going through. More Beacon of Speech secrets. We made sports predictions in January or February for all of the spring sporting events, and then I lost the predictions. Would you like to go over them?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Right? And you said you found them at your house, right?
I found them at my house. It wasn't at your house. It was at my house in a magazine that we had done. I put them in the magazine so we didn't lose them. And
yeah, I thought maybe they would have been underneath like a cable advertisement over here or something.
No, that was my fault. So I apologize. The first thing is, literally nobody in America cares about indoor soccer, except for me and maybe 4 shut-ins. Okay? So I asked predictions for the MASL Championship. There were only 4 teams left in the MASL playoffs, and I said, Ted, you have a 1 in 4 random chance. Who do you think is going to win the MASL Championship? And I'll put it right here. You said it was going to be the San Diego Sockers. I said it was going to be the Sonoma. I don't even know how to pronounce it. It was a Mexican team. For the Ron Newman Cup, there were no Las Vegas odds. I am basically the Howard Cosell of the MASL. I am the only one talking about it. I am trying to stir the pot. Okay? So we're going to flip it over. And the winner was the Baltimore Blast. They beat Sonora 1-0 in a mini game. Okay, now since you don't care about indoor soccer, you'll see that San Diego didn't even make it to the Final Four. My team did make it, and they lost basically in a tie-breaking game. So we'll take this, we'll throw it away. Where's the camera? All right. So I was more right than you.
All these crumbled up things that can I throw those away?
Yeah, you can throw anything that's crumbled up.
Or does this go in the Beacon of Speech Museum?
No, I don't think there's going to be a Beacon of Speech. The NCAA tournament. At the beginning of the NCAA tournament, we said we had how many teams are in the tournament now? 68?
Oh, God.
I said Arizona was going to win. They were 6-1 odds. Ted Coley said Gonzaga was going to win. They were 6-1 odds. Okay? Vegas said that Vegas said the teams were North Carolina, Duke, Arizona, or Gonzaga were all 6-1 odds. So basically we took 4 of the favorites, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kansas and UCLA were dark horses. Fred said Gonzaga has no prayer. Okay? Flip it over. North Carolina beat Gonzaga in the finals. You were almost right. You were the closest to right. I was 110% wrong. Gonzaga at least made it to the finals. And they gave North Carolina a run for their money. So how does it feel if you would have bet 6-1, you would have had a coin flips chance. So if you bet 100, you could have won $600 on Gonzaga.
You know, I seem to get the championship right, like who the 2 teams... Well, not who the 2 teams are going to be. I always get it right who the loser is going to be.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it'll be the winner, but they're the ones who lose. But they make it there.
But you had Gonzaga. So you were closer. So we're 1-1. Because I was closer on indoor soccer. You were closer on NCAA tournament. All right. Now, next was the NBA championship. Oh, guess who did good on this? Fred said Golden State was going to win over Cleveland in 5.
And that's exactly what happened, wasn't it?
Yep. Ted said Cleveland was going to be over Golden State in 6. Now, if I would have taken this bet, Golden State in 5, and I put $100 down in Vegas, how much would I have won, Ted? $100, Golden State in 5.
I don't know, 1,000?
If I would have put down 100, the odds were 10 to 11. I would have won 90. It wasn't even worth being right, okay? So I was 100% right, and I still would have lost $10 for being right, which is the way life is, right? So I was 100% right, and there was no win in it. You know, you don't gamble, so you could say, hey, I was right, I lost money, right? Stanley Cup predictions. Ted said that the Minnesota Wild was going to win the Stanley Cup, and Fred said it was going to be the Chicago Blackhawks. Okay? If I would have put down $100, I could have won $650. Well, guess what? Neither one of those teams were even in the Stanley Cup Finals.
It was Pittsburgh, wasn't it?
It was the Pittsburgh Penguins beating the Nashville Predators. And Chicago got swept. They made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs, did not win a game. Minnesota made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs. They won 1 game and they were out. So we were both way wrong. Okay? But, I said that the Chicago Blackhawks would beat the Penguins, and you said the Minnesota Wild would beat Columbus. So I at least had half of it right. I had the Penguins being in the Stanley Cup. So I was more right. I actually did good on predictions. I'm glad I found these because now I feel better about myself. And the reason I bring it up is because next month is going to be the anniversary show of 9/11, right? And we made 50 predictions on 9/11 last year, and I want to make 50 more predictions around 9/11 this year. The sports predictions we made in January, I want to say. So
that 9/11 last year was the all prediction show?
Yeah, it was all prediction show. So we won't do it on 9/11, but we have to have Joe back. And we'll do all kinds of predictions. And then I'll give you guys like the topics beforehand. Excuse me, so we can have some fun with the all prediction show. And then that way Joe can be wrong on all of them. We can. Now, just so you know, we have talked to Joe. You talked to Joe in real life. I talked to Joe last night on the internet. I sent him an instant message. He said he was working out at the gym at midnight.
So you don't have like extended conversations.
No.
You just
short,
have like
short.
one.
Like, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. So he said
really that's like about it. It's not like
no, very short. So I sent him a message. He said he was working out at the gym midnight on Saturday night, and I sent him a message that said get back to work. And he was not. I don't think he was amused by that because he's basically working 7 days a week all through the summer, right? Would you say that's more or less true?
Yeah, I would say it's probably at least 6. I know that.
Yeah. So this whole summer, even though it's August, he's had like 6 days off. And then when he does have a day off, they're like, oh, you're screwing us by taking a day off. So that's why Joe's not here, besides having his kids are about 1 now, right? 1.5.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, they're probably 1.5, the twins.
Yeah, so we gotta get Joe. We have to start integrating after summer is over. So Joe back in the Beacon of Speech.
They were born like a couple months before you left, right?
Right.
Yeah. I think they're 1.5. Yep.
So, like I said, we're gonna try and integrate Joe back in, and eventually, hopefully, he'll be sitting here. See, but there's no empty chair. When we were doing it at work, there was this chair, that chair, and then an empty chair for Joe. And here, there is no empty chair. We have to drag one in from your living room. So, last week, did me and you talk about scumbag.com on air?
Yeah, I know we talked about it. I don't think it was on air.
All right, well, we're going to talk a little bit about it today, very briefly, because I want to give them props, okay? Because at the end of the day, you and me, we talk about stuff, and we talk about free speech and how everybody should have free speech, 99% of the topics, blah, 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 yakety schmackety, right? But at the end of the day, we are schlubs, right? We are not putting our free speech in action. We are not going to the local, I just read a story. There is a girl who wants to legalize marijuana, right? And she really, really, really wants to legalize marijuana. How bad does she want to legalize marijuana?
Very bad.
Well, very bad. So what she's been doing is she's been taking petitions to the Metro Park saying, please sign my petition. It says, I want marijuana legalized, right? Well, we don't do anything like that. We're lazy, right? More me than you, but, because you're working all the time and I'm not, right? But she's putting her free speech in action.
We don't have a purpose like she does.
No, we have no purpose. We have no purpose of beacon of speech.
We're purposeless.
Remind me to return to the website, though. But anyhow, we have no purpose. This girl, she's going out to the Metro Parks every week. Please sign my petition. I really want marijuana legalized.
We don't believe in a higher cause.
No. Our higher cause is drinking Coke and being an awful work.
I thought you were going to say being awful.
No. Well, being awful, too, at least in my case. But... so she's at the Metro Parks. Please, I want you to help legalize, please, please. Metro Parks police, not even the real police, Metro Parks police said, listen, you are really starting to bug the people coming to the Metro Parks. Okay?
What Metro Parks was she at? Or...
somewhere in the Emerald Necklace. It didn't say which one. It just said a ranger came and said, listen, you keep bugging these people. Every week you come out here.
Do you know what she looks like?
I honestly don't know. But
I'm picturing like one of the Manson girls.
Oh, well, probably. If I had the picture in my head, Ted, that's exactly how I would picture it. So one of the Manson girls is out there, and the Rangers are like, they're like, oh, please, we're getting complaints. We know you want to smoke marijuana. We know you want to smoke it legally, but that does not give you the right to come out to the Metro Parks and badger people every single week.
Yeah, because people are there to relax.
Yeah, they're going there to relax, walk your dog, enjoy nature. She goes, you're infringing on my free speech! I'm going to sue you! I'm going to sue the Metro Parks! I'm going to sue the state of Ohio! All I want to do is smoke pot! For God's sake, please! Right? So... she took the case all the way to the Ohio Supreme Court.
Took it to the highest court.
The highest court in Ohio. What did the Ohio Supreme Court say?
Go pound salt.
They said that she has the right to go to a public place and ask for petitions. And that she was right.
Did you catch the joke, highest court?
Yeah, I did. I didn't want to. But so she won. Okay? Now, me and you are all about free speech, but if I knew where she was every Saturday, I would avoid her, right? And she won. They said you can infringe upon her free speech. She can go to a public spot. Now, we don't even do... once I heard that, I'm like, maybe me and you should take Beacon of Speech out to the Metro Parks and we'll do the webcasts out there. And then people can throw stuff at us and all that other fun stuff. But, again, is a free speech issue, and I'm like, well, I don't know if I agree with the girl. I understand with the concept, but maybe there's like something where they could be like,
is she going up to people and like sign this?
Yeah.
See, now that might be where I disagree with it. If she's just standing out there talking and not getting in anybody's face, then yeah, she should be able to. But when you start encroaching on somebody else's
right. And that's where I'm going. Today, me and Alex, we went to the local Metro Parks in Lorraine County, right? And they had a table, and on the table, it was taped on the front of the table, like this table. It said the Lorraine County Astrology Club, because the eclipse is coming, right? And they said, get information. Well, they didn't pester you. They didn't badger you. Yeah. There were a bunch of old men sitting there, and they had a sheet on the table, across the bottom of the table, saying what they were there for.
So these old men weren't getting in your face and saying, look
no.
at the eclipse.
No, please look at the eclipse. And they were selling eclipse glasses for $1. Well, I read online that those eclipse glasses don't work.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but the point of the story is, That was perfect. They're at the park. They're not badgering anybody. They have their freedom of speech, right? Now,
So isn't that going to be a problem if those glasses don't work and they're selling them to people and those people think they do work?
well, they're gone.
What do you mean?
I think it's a buyer beware thing. You know, you burn out your retinas. Well, good luck suing the Lorraine County Astrology Society. but I'm like,
It's going to be like sort of like the movie The Jerk.
yeah. But the point is that I agree with the court. The girl should have it. She should be able to do that. But like you said, she doesn't have the right to badger
Right,
people.
she has the right to stand there and say those things, but other people have the right to be left alone and not have her in their face.
And me and you talk about this all the time. People are not motivated for the greater good, okay? This girl was not motivated because her grandma had glaucoma and she wanted to legalize it for her poor grandma with glaucoma. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She was all about legalizing weed so she wouldn't get arrested for smoking weed.
Yeah.
So again, all these, and I'm not saying, there are some people in the medical profession, like, I don't think my wife smokes pot, right? Now. Okay? But I think she understands it delivers pain relief for chronically ill people, for people at the end of their life. So my wife, she believes that marijuana should be legal, especially for medicinal purposes, right? Well, my wife doesn't run around saying, I want to smoke pot. I think she wants it for the greater good. Most people don't want it for the greater good. They just want it so they can smoke pot. Which is the whole reason that she took it to the Supreme Court. I want to be able to smoke. Like, imagine wanting to do something so bad. Like, what's your favorite food, Ted?
What's my favorite food?
Yeah, what's your favorite food?
Oh, God. I like hamburgers.
Hamburgers, okay. They come and take away the hamburgers. They say hamburgers are bad for you. They cause prostate cancer. They drive up blood pressure and fat content, blah, blah, blah.
Probably all true.
We are going to ban hamburgers, right? Do you know how much conviction you would have to spend your weekend saying, please sign my petition to reinstate the hamburger? I'm going to make sure, go to the highest court that I can eat hamburgers. Instead of saying, well, you know what, instead of hamburgers, I'll just eat chicken or eat steak. You know what I mean? That's how much she loves, that's how singularly committed she is to smoking pot. Which,
I'm just picturing myself running around the metro parks.
running around the metro parks.
Hysterically.
I just want to eat a hamburger. That's all I ever want.
That day might come.
But so, the point of the story is that we talk the talk, but do we walk the walk? Not yet. Not really.
No.
I do the articles on Beacon of Speech, but none of them really call anybody out. So we're going to circle all the way back around to scumbag.com, and I'm going to spell it. SCUMBAGGED.com. Okay?
Scumbagged?
Yeah, scumbag.com, and I'm going to explain the concept. Again, they're like somewhere around my house. They're one of my neighbors. Okay? They're free speech in action. Okay? And the way they're doing free speech is, we say, one of the articles I did, and we'll talk more about this later, is I said that Kyrie, you remember how I went crazy about Kyrie Irving last week?
Mm-hmm.
And my head almost spun off my shoulders. I call him an idiot and stuff. Well, I went home and I wrote an article called Kyrie Irving is a Brat. Okay? Well, Kyrie Irving is a public figure, and at the end of the day, Kyrie Irving's like, I'm making $100 million.
He's a public nuisance.
Yeah, exactly. And he said, and he would say, I'm making $100 million, go suck an egg. Right? But scumbag.com, they're doing free speech in action. Basically what they're doing is they're going through court records and saying, you are a scumbag. Right? So they're putting their free speech in action, going through court records and finding local lowlifes in Lorraine County and saying, it is our freedom of speech to let people know of the scumbags in your community. Right? Now, you could argue, you could be like, I'm not a scumbag. Well, you would have to go to court to prove that you weren't a scumbag and that they weren't libeling you. The thing is, scumbag.com does not randomly call people scumbags. What they do is go through court records and say, yes, you are a scumbag. You were caught with a big fat bag of fentanyl. You know what I mean? And then you'd be like, well, that doesn't make me a scumbag. And it would be a long legal proceeding. But the reason I admire them is because they're putting free speech in action. Now, I'm telling you, the reason I bring up scumbag.com, besides them being neighbors, is I think their concept is very close to the smoking gun, which is basically we take court records and print them. Okay, they're taking the extra step of labeling people. You're a scumbag. Smoking gun basically just dumps out the court records. Blah blah blah. Got a DUI at 4 a.m. Whatever celebrity. So scumbag.com's taking the extra step, but it's free speech in action. And I'm like, wow, they're like us taking it to the next degree. Now, I want to take it to the next step where we're more action oriented, but not quite there. I don't want to be plowing. Ted, I admire people in the court system because say we ran scumbag.com, right? Just hypothetically, me and you, right? We don't, but say we did. Could you imagine how much fun it would be? We'd take all these court records, print them out, set them on the thing, and we're running through court records online. Doesn't it sound like a boatload of fun? That sounds like it would suck balls. Okay? And I'm like, that sounds like absolutely no fun at all. So at least we're not getting paid. At least we have a little bit of fun. Oh, see, Ted's looking at my shirt. Okay, I gotta scoot up. We live in North Ridgeville, so this is my North Ridgeville Ranger shirt for my little kitty bops, right? North Ridgeville. And like I said, I'm 99% the guy from scumbag.com is from North Ridgeville too. But he doesn't have a webcast, and he doesn't cover his face either. He has a pseudonym. They call him Cobra, because he strikes at the bad people, right? But I'm like, wow. I admire him because he believes in it, just like the girl who smokes pot. I'm going to take this all the way to the Supreme Court. Well, he believes in his cause. He says, I have court records to back up everything I say.
Well, what's funny? Like the girl who wants to legalize marijuana. Do most people who smoke marijuana really have a problem getting it, even though it is illegal? You know what I mean? It seems like everybody who smokes it gets it, and they generally don't get in trouble.
Yeah. Well, I guess, and if my wife was here, she'd be, the problem is it's unregulated. So you could buy pot. Say you grew it in your house, you'd never have a problem, right?
Yes, you don't know what's in it.
You don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
You don't know if some a-hole is going to lace it with something else trying to get you addicted. 99 out of 100 times your source is good. The one time it gets mixed with something else, next thing you know, you're addicted to something.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
But you're right. See, I lost my train of thought. I was going to say, you were saying they're having trouble getting things. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. There was a gay guy, and he was a great-looking gay guy, and I can't remember where I saw it. And they said, are you for gay marriage? Right? And he said, oh, absolutely not. And they're like, well, what do you mean absolutely not? He goes, you're gay. You should be for gay marriage. Why aren't you for? He goes, you ever notice that half the people who get married get divorced? And you ever meet married couples and you know almost all of them are all miserable? He goes, I would rather be in a committed relationship with my partner, and then, we're against the law, and that's what keeps us together. If we got married, who's to say we wouldn't be like the straight couple who want to kill each other after 10 years?
Well, Howard Stern's argument was gays should be allowed to marry because he said they should be as miserable as everybody else.
Well, yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's like, well, nobody... And his argument was, nobody is physically stopping me from being with my boyfriend, right? And he was like, I'm with my boyfriend's with me. And he goes, I don't need a sheet of paper, and I don't want to wake up one day and I feel like, my parents, and I don't mean my parents, but his parents, who hated each other, by their 15th anniversary. Mm-hmm. They literally wanted to kill each other. And so it's the same thing with marijuana. It's like, well, if it's legalized, is it going to become more popular, or is it going to be like, oh, well, it's not it'll be like alcohol. I don't like this weak stuff. I want that extra potent stuff. Where's the line where legality goes? And I've already gone on the record 100 times, even though I'm the lean libertarian. You can't legalize heroin. You can't legalize meth.
No, it's too destructive.
And they're like, oh, well, Fred, who are you to draw the line? I'm like, it's an easy line to draw. If you grow it and it's easy, then do it. If you have to mix it with Drano and cough syrup and you have to have a chemist's degree to make it, well, then it should be illegal. Because how many chemists are like, well, I couldn't get a job as a chemist, so I became a drug dealer? Ted's shaking his head because he's thinking of Breaking Bad.
I am.
So, and again, with Breaking Bad, we'll use that since it came up. He was a chemistry teacher. He was not a normal schlub, right? So how many people like Walter White, is that his name?
Yeah.
How many people like Walter White have his experience as a chemistry teacher?
Now, did you watch that show?
No. Not, like I said, I saw a couple of episodes, but I never watched it from start to finish, all the way through or anything.
I'll tell you what, it's like one thing, watching that show, it's a good show, but it's also getting me interested in chemistry. Not so that I could make, but chemistry is interesting.
Oh yeah, but I'm telling you, I remember being in college and I was joking around with Jason Campo, right? I'll say his last name because he's a dumbass, right? We talked about making drugs because we're like, we don't take drugs. And if we make them, we won't lose anything on the profit margins. A lot of drug addicts are like, oh, we'll sell it and we'll take off 10% for ourselves, and then 20%, then 30%. Next thing you know, it's a downward spiral. I told Jason Campbell, I said, we can make drugs. We're both smart. We're in college. We don't take drugs. All we're doing is hitting profit, pure profit. And he's like, yeah, but, the whole thing, if we go to jail. I'm like, oh, yeah, we don't want to go to jail. Mm-hmm. We got to think of some other way to make money. And, Joe Coffin, if he was sitting here, and he's said this 100 times, we need to think of the next fidget spinner. When he said we, he meant me, and then he would, jump in on it. But, the next pet rock, the next this, the next, you need to be the next cutting edge thing.
I almost bought a fidget spinner 3 or 4 weeks ago.
They're only 88 cents.
I know, and that's at Mark's. I know. That's exactly where I was, and I saw them, and I'm like, I should get one. You
would be the popular one, and my kids were watching online videos where they were taking fidget spinners and doing all kinds of crazy things with them.
Now, do you think that's going to destroy most of our audience that I said that?
I hope not. I know they were watching, and then they were mad that we were using the fidget spinner.
I did not buy one, though, but I was tempted.
They're in the anti-fidget spinner.
The lure of the fidget spinner is almost
too great.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a North Ridgeville t-shirt. You're wearing the t-shirt from the movie Blasphemers that we did together.
It was the next one up in the rotation.
Right here. Do you see this? This is my USA hat. I am not a big USA guy. Okay, my wife has been secretly throwing away my hats that are like 20 years old and pretending like I don't notice. Okay? I was telling you about the hat that was 15 years old last week. This is one of my only new hats. Okay? But I read On the Blaze this week.
Why is she throwing her hats away?
Because they're 20 years old and they smell. I'm not saying that it's irrational. I'm just saying that I know she's doing it. Because I'm like, do you know where my hat's at? And she was like, I don't know. I don't wear your hats.
That could be the name of our production company. Smelly Hat Productions.
Smelly Hat Productions. I read On the Blaze. And again, I really don't like wearing a lot of USA stuff. I just don't. That's not the way I roll. Okay? But there's a school district in Roseville, Michigan that says that they're banning short skirts, right? Low cleavage, and starting this year, flags. You can't wear a flag to school because it sets people off. And it's like, yeah, I know. Now, I had heard this in some colleges that they didn't want the American. I have never heard of it in a high school. And again, it comes
Really, when you think about it, those things are really what America is about.
what? Short skirts, cleavage, and flags?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when they say that no flag shirts, the very first day, okay? Very first day they have that in North Ridgeville, I send my kid in a flag shirt and I sue him. I'm making some money. Okay? Because you can't enforce that. You see what I'm saying? Now, I've never been to Roseville, so maybe everybody in Roseville is a bunch of liberals, right? And they're like, we don't like the flag. Again, we're in America, right? You can't take the American flag away. You can take away the Confederate flag because we're not the Confederate States of America. But you can't take away this is America. So if you can't wear a flag shirt, again, I assume that's going to be struck down. And for all I know, because I read it a couple of days ago, they've already yanked that back out. Because once you're a small town in Michigan and then you're on the Blaze, all of a sudden the school board's like, oh, we didn't mean it like that. Now that we're getting hate mail from across the country. You see what I'm saying? So again, back to the freedom of speech issue of absolutely, here's the line. Fly the flag, yes. Wear the flag. Don't be disrespectful. We do not believe in burning the flag just because that is not speech, that is action. Okay? Now, that goes for the Iranian flag. If you can burn the American flag, I'm telling you, one of the first things we're going to do is pull a Gib Shanley and burn the Saudi Arabian flag. Okay? And we're going to talk about Saudi Arabia later.
What did he do? He burned the Iranian?
Yeah, because Gib Shanley was mad. He was a sportscaster, and you can find it online. We'll do it next week. Type in Gib Shanley flag on YouTube. And there was a sportscaster in 1981. His name was Gib Shanley. He worked at Channel 5 News. And all night, he would do the 6 and 10 o'clock, or 6 and 11 o'clock news. And he said he was sick of watching every night the Iranians burn the American flag. So he went on the air. He pulled out an Iranian flag. He goes, well, you know what? Well, screw them. Takes the Iranian flag, burns it on Channel 5 in Cleveland. He goes, see how they like it. All of a sudden, national stories, burning the Iranian flag in Cleveland. And Gib Shanley did not know that he had opened up Pandora's box. And a lot of people are like, no, you don't have the right to burn a flag, an Iranian flag. He's like, well, no, why not? Gib Shanley was 100% right. If you're going to burn an American flag, you should be able to burn any flag you want, right? If I want to come out here and burn a flag in Michigan, because they suck at football, that's my prerogative. They're like, oh no, it only counts if you burn the American flag. No, that's not how.
So
it
that
should
was
work.
during the Iran hostage.
Yeah, so it would have had to been 79. Would have had to been 79, 80, 81, or somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But it's real, and you knew who Gib Shanley was.
Yeah, he was a blonde-haired.
Yeah, it was blonde and then in the gray as he got older. So
is he still alive?
Oh no, he passed. Because even when he passed away, right, they said Gib Shanley, sportscaster, and then because we live in America, they're like Gib Shanley. And don't forget this famous moment when Gib Shanley burned the Iranian flag. And then they blurred out the flag, right? When he died, and they just said, remember when he burned the Iranian flag?
So he did it on his sportscast?
Yeah, like Indians win.
Did the rest of the people in the studio know that he was going to do that?
I don't know. I don't remember because, like I said, I was like 10. And I remember looking it up when he died, right? But I don't know if everybody else in the studio. I just know, remember, everybody used to smoke. What was it, in the 60s, they said before the Surgeon General warning, it was like 48% of the people smoked, right?
Yeah.
It was something.
Yeah, it was probably close to
astronomical. 50. So all he did was pull out the flag, pull a lighter out of his pocket, right? It wasn't a big production. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, Indians win, Browns in training camp, big trade in basketball. Oh, and by the way, we're going to burn the Iranian flag. I'm sick of seeing this, and up it goes. I mean, it was very quick, and we'll watch it next week. Just remind me, because it's on YouTube. So I think Ted's still stunned that we're talking about flag burning and wearing flag. Because like I said, I never thought we'd get to a day in America Because I remember when I was a kid, they're like, everybody has to say the
Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm like, oh, all you're doing is brainwashing the youth. I said, why are we doing the Pledge of Allegiance? My parents don't do the Pledge of Allegiance at work. You know what I mean? Let's just come in and do it. And they're like, well, you have to learn. I'm like, well, then my parents can teach me, you know.
I remember doing that, like, early on. Like, I don't know if we did it, like, in kindergarten or first grade or whatever.
I think we did it through, like, 8th grade or something.
Yeah, I don't remember if we did it that late, but I don't know.
Because, like I said, I'm like, you know what? I don't know what was into me when I was a kid, but I was big into, you know, all the schools do is brainwash you. You know, and maybe that's where I got the seeds of Beacon of Speech from. But again, you have to be able to show the flag, right? This is not, okay, we're going to spin around. This is not Chief Wahoo, where even if you banned it, who cares, right? At the end of the day, there's, you know, we've beaten Chief Wahoo to death, right? If you ban Chief Wahoo, it does not take away from at the end of the day, the fabric of America does not dissolve because you banned Chief Wahoo, okay? It does a tiny bit. But if you ban the flag, you're in a whole heap of trouble. And you can't say, well, no flag here. No, the flag is the flag. And that's why it's absurd to me, and I'm sure that's why the Blaze picked up on it. And I don't understand how these little podunk districts who are like, oh, well, we're just going to, you know, erode your liberties just a tiny bit, and nobody will notice.
You know, I just got a flash, you know, talking about the flag. I remember 9/11, driving home, like at the end of the day, and seeing like so many people.
Oh yeah, flags everywhere.
Like, I was almost like choked up.
Yeah,
seeing that. That was some day, man.
Yeah, thanks, Ted. I remember. Do you want to hear?
Dragging the show down.
You want to? Yeah, since we're dragging the show down, you want to hear a funny story about 9/11? So, I'm at work. You were at work too, right, when it happened?
Yep.
And I remember I was in Parker Hannafin, and they got TVs all. I don't work there anymore. I can say it. I was in the basement of Parker Hannafin watching all the TV screens. All the TV screens in their command center all had, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? All I can hear is the radio. I can't see anything. And they're like, oh, you know, the one tower went down, the other tower is getting ready to go. The other tower, what happens if that falls down, blah, 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 right? And they said, oh, and there's another plane that just crashed in Pennsylvania. And I was upset because, you know, my sister, the one who produced the movie with us, she lived not too far from where that plane crashed. And I'm like, no, my sister, she probably went
she lived in, what was it, Maryland?
Yeah.
But
at the time, she was living outside of Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So she wasn't that far away from that plane crash.
Because where she lives in Maryland, she lives in Maryland now.
She lives in Maryland now.
That's probably not even that far from...
Yeah, it's not that far from where it crashed. So I'm like, my sister, at the time, she sees a plane crash, she would probably run over and start taking pictures of it. You know, because she was a photographer, and that's how she rolls, right? So I was upset because I'm like, oh, my sister's probably, you know, the terrorists probably jumped out of the plane and started shooting at her because I never saw any pictures. I'm listening to it on the radio. I didn't realize it hit the ground and dissolved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I still keep reading conspiracy theories about 9/11. Just make me so mad because all it is was a bunch of terrorists, and they got through a wide net.
Now, the one that crashed into the field, did they find, like, was there, like, anything left?
No, it was like poof, like ashes. Because, again, they said it went down into the ground.
Yeah.
You know, some plane crashes, you're like, you know, well, let's try and land this baby, and you're getting clipped by trees, and you're trying. They said the Pennsylvania plane went straight down. And they said right away they knew there were no survivors the way it hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're bringing the show way down. We're doing great at entertaining
the funny thing is that we should have brought this up on the 9/11 show.
Yeah, but we're
Instead of
having
like
too much fun
a
doing
month
predictions. We're having too much fun doing predictions.
I mean, this would be a good anniversary
Yeah.
show for.
Okay, we'll stop talking about it. You want to go to my next thing?
Yeah.
Okay. I did 4 articles this week. Do you want to hear about my 4 articles?
Yeah.
Article 1 was Bud Selig. I believe he should be in the Hall of Fame. We already went over that. I did a story about a punk band called The Plurals out of Lansing, Michigan. I really like that. You do not care about The Plurals. Next one is Professional Brats. I just bitched and bitched and bitched. 2,000 words about Kyrie Irving is just... Kyrie Irving...
Nah, he's still with the Cavs, right?
He's still with the Cavs, but honestly...
Did he ever back off from that?
No. I want... If there was a... You know how I talk about spending
He never said I was having a bad day.
No. You know how they say spend $100 and we'll win, betting Golden State or bet on the Indians or... If they had a line at the airport, kick Kyrie Irving in the ass, and they charged me $100, I might do it. That's how mad I still am today after bitching about it last week and writing a 2,000-word article about it.
Well, see, there's a good business idea. Put Kyrie Irving in a dunk tank.
Kyrie Irving in the... No!
Yeah, raise money for charity.
Kyrie Irving is such a scumbag. You know what would happen? He'd be like, okay, you could charge $1,000 to put me in the dunk tank, and then I get 95% of it, and then my production team gets 4%, and then your charity gets 1%. Like, it still wouldn't even be worth it. Kyrie Irving would probably sell his mother to Arab sheiks for big... And then he would complain, oh, my mom is gone. You sold her to Arab sheiks. Oh, well, it was a lot of money, and...
So I'm guessing that Kyrie Irving is never going to come on this show.
Kyrie Irving is... We're going to make a list. Me and you are going to buy a whiteboard. Kyrie Irving is banned. I am so mad at Kyrie Irving. And like even when LeBron...
See, that would be good to have like a board up there.
Yeah. Even LeBron James. When LeBron James left and went to Miami, I was mad. But at the end of the day, I understood it's business. He was a free agent, and he had that right to go to Miami. Now, I was upset that he chose Miami over Cleveland because I live in Cleveland, right? But it was also partially Dan Gilbert's fault for letting him get to free agency. And you're like, wow, he didn't have a choice. I don't want to review that. Kyrie Irving is still 2 years under contract. He wants to be traded. And it's not, say we were in last place. Say we were 20-62. I can understand 2 more years under contract because you don't want to lose 60 games a year. You're winning, right? You're making $100 million. And do you know who's got the number 1 shoe sales in America this summer?
Is it Kyrie Irving?
Kyrie Irving. So being in Cleveland isn't even damaging his brand. They all talk about their brand. Oh, we got to sell our shoes, our shirts. Jersey sales, all that other BS. He's got the number 1 shoe in America, even though he's in Cleveland. And that's why I'm like so mad about it. But those are 3 of my 4 articles.
Do you know who is the number 2?
I didn't look. All I know is that the story I researched when I did the Professional Brat story, it said Kyrie Irving has the number 1 shoe in America. And I read the first 3 paragraphs. I'm like, what's he complaining about? You remember in the old days, they'd be like, oh, well, he's a Milwaukee Brewer. How is he going to make money? Same things in the NBA. They're like, well, you got to go to New York or LA if you want to make extra money. He's making shitloads of money. Sorry. Selling his sneakers. He just is, even though he's in Cleveland. I mean, how many more sneakers can you sell? You're already the number 1 sneaker seller in America. Well, for NBA players. I don't know if that's true against football and soccer. I just assume it is. Because I think basketball is the biggest shoe. But here's the last thing. Okay, we were talking about 9/11. Okay? And we're going to talk a little bit about this because I want to know your idea about this. Okay? One of your favorite shows of all time is MASH. Is that correct? So everything you know about the Korean War, you learned from MASH. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, well, probably most. Mostly true.
95% of the stuff I know about the Korean War I learned from MASH too. My great uncle was in the Korean War. He said it was fun. Okay. My uncle's passed away. Love my great uncle Gerald very much, but he was the only person I ever knew who said that war was fun. Okay.
So he was serious?
Yeah. So I don't know what he was doing during the war. I don't know if like he was a cook and then he went out at night, or I don't know what the story was with him. My grandfather told me about being on the ship. My other grandfather told me about the European theater. They talk about war like you're going to pull out their teeth. You know, what would you rather do? Have your teeth out or talk about the war? And oh, no, pull out my teeth. Well, Uncle Gerald's like, hey, you want to hear about the Korean War? What a blast it was?
Gather around.
Yeah, gather around. We're going to talk about the Korean War. It's going to be a good time. Good time for the boys and the girls. Okay? But I wrote an article about end the Korean War. Okay? Now, in your head, do you have a solution for Kim Jong-un or whatever the hell his name is?
Do I have a solution?
Yeah. Do you have a solution? In your head, if you were Donald Trump, do you have a solution? You haven't thought about this.
No, you know, I've thought about it, but I really don't have a solution.
Right.
I mean,
this is what I did the article on, and you could tell me whether I'm all
do
right.
you? Or?
Oh yeah. I got a perfect solution. Okay, nobody will ever do it. Now, when I was younger, my solution was what you do is you drop a nuclear weapon on their capital and you melt their leader, and then you're done. Right? But you kill a lot of innocent people, and now that you're older, you feel worse about saying you should kill kids. Okay, you just do. You know, because you have your own, and I have my kids. You have your nieces and nephews and stuff, and you love them very much. You wouldn't want to drop a nuclear weapon on them.
No.
So I have softened on my stance of just nuke them, right? If they piss you off. Okay, and that's why I assume you can't be president until you're 35, because a lot of people think that way, you know, when they're young. I know there's no nuclear weapons back in the 1700s, but, you know, people don't rush to war once they get to a certain age. Okay? But, you love Donald Trump. I don't trust him. Okay? And he keeps saying, if the North Koreans launch a missile and it lands either in South Korea or Japan proper, there's going to be problems, right? Just problems. Well, you know, Donald Trump is impetuous. He'd probably invade, shoot up North Korea, and then next thing you know, the Chinese are down, and it's a recreation of the Korean War, right? And I said, how can you solve this problem? And again, this is me thinking out loud. How can you solve this problem with killing the least amount of people? Okay? Now, this is what I came up with, and you can tell me what's the flaw of my plan. Okay? Here's the plan. You end the Korean War, which the Korean War never ended. It was an armistice, right? Technically, they're only on a ceasefire. There is no peace treaty at the end of the Korean War.
They just agreed to stop shooting.
They just agreed to stop shooting. So it's still a ceasefire. There is no peace treaty in the Korean War. Okay? So here's what you do. You're Donald Trump. Pretend like you're Donald Trump. Okay? I'd be your advisor. And you tell me whether this is feasible or not. Okay? Okay, Donald? Stop golfing. Get on Mar-a-Lago or whatever the hell you're doing. Okay? This is me advising you. Okay? Here's what you do. I want you to fly on a plane. I want you to go to Beijing. And I want you to talk to the leader of China. And say, listen, China, I want to trade with you, you want to trade with us, we love you, you love us. Okay, that's a lie, but that's what you're going to tell Donald Trump. Okay? Let's end this. We are going to be the peacemakers. Donald and who's the Chinese leader? Xi? Zhou?
I don't know.
I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's Xi. Right? We're going to end this. Okay? Here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do as the Chinese leader. You're going to call the leader of North Korea over to Beijing, say we're going to talk about some trade deal, right? And again, this is what you tell the Chinese leader. You get the leader of North Korea to come to Beijing. As soon as he walks in the door, you say, ha. Your generals jump out from behind the door, put him under arrest, chain him behind his back. All of his advisors, arrest them all. They're all under arrest. Okay? Then, all of a sudden, all bets are off, right? You say, listen, We don't want any land. We're America. We got enough land. We got Guam. We got Puerto Rico wants to be a state. We don't even want them to be a state. Okay? We do not want 1 acre of Korean land. China, you can have half of North Korea. South Korea gets the other half. Just literally make a line. My hand turned red. Look. China gets half of North Korea. South Korea gets the other half of North Korea.
So South Korea would be 3/4 of the.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be South Korea anymore. It would be Korea. There is no more South Korea.
Oh, okay. So the half of North Korea that China gets would be part of China?
Yep. So from now on, and so this is what I'm telling you as a Chinese leader. You get to expand China, right? And Korea gets to expand Korea. There is no more North Korea. We're not dealing with those effers anymore. Okay, they can all screw themselves.
China would probably say to us, why don't we just take all of North Korea?
Well, and then what would happen is Donald Trump would be like, how about if we just take all of North Korea? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump can say, we can play that game too, China.
Well, are China and North Korea friends, or, I mean...
I wasn't sure about this when I did the article, right? And I said, maybe China loves, and again, you have to remember, this is, what had happened. Let me start from the beginning. The BBC takes a poll of every country in the world. What do you think of this other country, right? Every single country in the world, the main ones. They don't ask, what do they think of, what does Barbados think about Uganda, right? The major industrial nations of the world. It's like Saudi Arabia, what do you think of Israel? And 96% say we don't like Israel, right? Well, and that doesn't surprise you, right? China, what do you think of North Korea? And it was 25% of the Chinese people say they like North Korea, 50% say they don't like North Korea, and 25% say no comment, right? Because they're probably not used to doing polls, right? But that's an awful lot of people who don't care about North Korea in China, their largest ally. Their own largest ally does not like them.
Well, doesn't China like having North Korea, so they're
It's
like
a
a
buffer.
buffer? Yeah.
So the argument is they like having the buffer. But they don't like they don't want the aggravation. At some point, is it better to have a buffer, or is it better to have more land where they control? At the end of the day, they don't control North Korea. North Korea controls North Korea. And they said North Korea has even expelled certain Chinese who have tried to come into North Korea, saying, no, this is North Korea. They have a hypersensitive nationalism in North Korea. So now Russia would have to sign off on it in the United Nations. So it would be like, okay, Russia, we'll give you a slice. We'll give you a slice of North Korea. 49% goes to China, 49% goes to South Korea, and then what happens, there's a port in Russia, and it ices up, right? So they have to use a North Korean port because it doesn't, North Korea actually touches Russia. I don't know if you know that or not.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so...
Where's our...
Here, we'll grab this, right over here. Our trusty globe that keeps coming in common. Okay, if you look right here, see right there? That very tip, right? There's a port in Russia, okay? And because it's the Sea of Japan, it ices over. But they said that there's a little bay here in North Korea, and it doesn't ice over. It's Rason, R-A-S-O-N, right? And they said the Russians have to pay the North Koreans to use that base because their port freezes over. Okay? Well, say, okay...
Because what? Because it's just far enough north?
Yeah. Yeah, and the North Korean port is, so say, okay, Russia, if you sign off on the South Koreans and the Chinese doing this, you get the port of Raison, and then all you have to do is push it through the UN Security Council, right? It would cover the bases of all of them. And like I said, Mr. Trump, here's what you do. If they say, why don't we take all of North Korea, just say, well, why don't we take all of North Korea? Okay? Donald Trump wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. The whole reason everybody voted for him is because he's not a traditional politician. Why can't he sit down with the Chinese leader and say, this is what we're going to do? I can't imagine for the life of me that the Chinese leader would not say, so we get to get extra land in North Korea for free without fighting a war. And Donald Trump would be like, yeah, you just march your troops in and they're not going to do anything.
So what are they going to do with Kim Jong?
Oh, kill him. He's dead.
Kim Jong, is it Kim Jong?
Yeah, as soon as he walks, as soon as the Americans march up to Pyongyang or whatever it's called, and the Chinese march down and they split the city in half, right? Just like Berlin. This becomes Korea. There is no more North Korea. One country of Korea, one country of China, right? And then as soon as that's done, you say we're executing the North Korean leader for crimes against the state, or you say we're going to put him in the Chinese equivalent of a Siberian prison in China.
So do you think what we're hoping for and what we're trying to push right now is to pressure China to do something?
Yes. But the problem is that, and again, we're not talking about the Chinese government. We're talking about even the Chinese people don't like North Korea. Okay? They still have bad memories from 100 years ago from the... now we're getting into Japanese, Korean, Chinese politics. Okay? And it's like, you know what, just end it. They've had since the 50s to figure this out. And you know what's going to happen with Kim Jong-il or Un or whatever the hell is going to go on? This is going to go on for 20 more years, 30 more years, 40 more years, and he's going to have a whacked out kid, that's inbred because he married his cousin. This is going to go on for 100 more years. You might as well just say, you know what? And let me ask you a question. Say you live in North Korea, and North Korea has been plagued with drought and poverty and starvation and stuff. You're living in North Korea, and you're like, my life sucks, okay? If you become a Korean, your life is going to get better. But even if you become a Chinese citizen, your life is probably still going to be better. Do you think it would be better to... And I'm going to ask you, honestly. I'm putting a gun to your head. You can either live in North Korea or you can live in China. Which one do you think you'd be better off at?
China.
China. And I agree 110%. Even those people in North Korea, their lives would be at least a little better as Chinese citizens versus North Koreans. It's like I hate to compare it, but like in East Cleveland. Well, your city sucks, but you're still better off being as part of Cleveland than being your own little East Cleveland.
Do you think the people of North Korea honestly believe what they tell them? Don't they tell them that it's our fault that they live the way they do?
Yeah, it's our fault.
Do you think they honestly believe that?
I think they're afraid to say... If they believe it, which I believe a lot of them do,
because it's all they've ever heard.
Right. But I think some of them have been like, it can't be this bad everywhere. But they don't say it out loud because they don't want to get assassinated.
Yeah.
Or poisoned, or, they just killed the one brother-in-law. What was it? He was in Malaysia and they put the poison on his face and stuff. So, again. So, Donald Trump. Uh-oh, you're not getting called, are you?
No.
Ted's on call. So, you're Donald Trump. And I give you this advice. Now, would you at least consider it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd consider it.
Now, again, the end game is...
No, that's what you would do.
Yeah, I would
now, what do you think will happen?
Oh, I think they're going to war.
Who's going to war?
I think eventually we're all going to pick sides and go to war in Korea.
So, when you say eventually, this is probably not too far off.
Yeah, like in the next year or two. There was a time in June where I was going on CNN every morning and looking to see if we were at war yet. Okay? Because I honestly... China is like, we're China. We got 1 billion troops. We will F you up. And we're sick of America thinking they can be everywhere and everything and stuff. And America is still like, listen, we're the premier army in the world. We're just itching. We're itching, right? We love America and we want to fight. right? And that's why I am scared to death of what's going on in Korea. There has to be a way to solve the problem with minimal casualties. So the whole reason I wrote the article is you can solve the Korean Peninsula problem by killing one person. Just like in the old days. Well, how do you if you could go back and kill Hitler, so 6 million Jews didn't die. You see what I'm saying? Well, I really think that you can save millions of people from a war if you just killed the leader of North Korea. Well, and the leader of North Korea, he's probably looking at Beacon speech. Oh, we gotta assassinate the guys from Beacon speech. Because once you cut off the head of the snake, all those.
So it's possible. It's not very likely, but it's possible that he could be watching this.
Yes, because they said he loves American culture.
Wouldn't it be funny if, you know how selective our audience is, if he was one of the people who actually watches?
Yes, yeah, and then we'd go from...
That would be our luck.
We would go from 20 views to 19 views, and we would lose our views from North Korea and be like, oh... We lost 5% of our audience because we said we should assassinate the guy from North Korea.
I honestly think, and I don't know how they would do it, but I honestly think that China's going to do something about it.
Well, that's the thing. China has to... When Donald Trump puts his thumbs in and says China has to do something, China's like, well, we don't have to do anything, right? They're our allies, and they're like the ugly little brother. They're like they're our problem, and we'll deal with them. They're not your problem. You don't worry. And Trump is saying the second a missile hits Japan or Korea, it's our problem. That's where you come into, I'm going to wave my flag. I'm going to wave my flag farther. That's why I'm like, I think I'm too, look at my gray beard. I think I'm too old to go to war. I don't even think they can draft me at this point. But I don't want anybody I know. I don't want anybody in that war. Again.
Now, when you say you think we're going to go to war, what does that mean? Like, do we go over there and invade North Korea? Or do we take him out with like a missile launch or?
Oh no. And that's the whole thing.
A drone?
Even if we take him out, the problem is once we take him out with a missile launch, I'm sure he has a secession plan, right? Kim Jong-2 or whatever. You're in charge. That's why you have to pull him to China. He's off of his home turf. And you arrest him, and the rest of them are like, what do we do? Next thing you know, the armies are marching through Korea, taking what they want, and they are literally stuck in the mud. Now, you might have some trouble in the DMZ because it's all booby-trapped to hell, but once you get through there, it shouldn't be that hard. It's like when they said...
But once again, that's what you would do, but what do you think will happen?
I think they're going to war.
But when you say going to war, what do you think is...
I think what eventually will happen is North Korea... I don't get the impression that they have the top scientists in the world, okay? Now, I could be wrong, okay? But when you think of the top scientists in the world, where do you think they live? Just in general.
Top scientists in the world?
Yeah. I think they live in America.
Germany.
I think they live in Germany. I think they live in China, okay? I think they live in Russia, okay? I think some of them might live in Canada, okay? I don't think of North Korea, okay? One of these days, North Korea is going to send up a missile, and their backwards-ass, dumbass scientists didn't program it right, and it's going to come down in the middle of South Korea. Next thing you know, South Korea is like, you know what, we're not putting up with this crap, and America is invading. As soon as America invades, here comes a nuclear missile to Seoul, and then it's World War III. All bets are off, and, we're rocking and rolling. It's like Red Dawn,
That's why I think that China knows all this, and I don't think anybody wants a war. I don't even think China does.
I don't think...
Because who will it benefit? You know what I mean?
I still think that Russia deep down does not want a war. And America deep down doesn't want a war. I honestly don't think China cares. It'd be like 100 million people could die. And we still have 900 or 1.2 billion people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I honestly think they don't care. The only thing they're afraid of is all of a sudden, next thing you know, you got Chinese peasants fighting a war against America drones and Japanese robots. Nope, I'm sorry. Update's not installed. Yeah, I'm not trying to install updates. We're trying to do Beacon of Speech. But once China starts losing and Japanese robots are on their shores, then all of a sudden they're like, oh, no, we didn't mean to start that war. So, I wanted to mention something else. I read a very intriguing article. It was one of the best articles I've read this year about how to have world peace. And it was very intriguing. Okay? Now, I am going to test your knowledge about the Muslim faith. Or the Islamic faith, whatever. Okay? I always say it backwards, so I'm sorry I'm not. I had a religious studies minor, and I always interchanged them wrong. So that's my fault. So sue me. So send hate letters. Okay? But
So now wait a minute. Is a Muslim somebody who practices the religion of Islam?
yeah, oh no, Islam is the religion, Muslim is the nationality.
Oh, Muslim is
Or the not the nationality, but the ethnicity. You see what I'm saying? Like we're white, Muslim is like the ethnicity. Islam is the religion. Does that sound right?
I guess.
I think. Okay. The point of the story is,
So you can be a Muslim and not practice Islam?
yeah. But you can't be, because technically me and you could convert to Islam right now.
Yeah.
We could be like Mike Tyson and say we believe in Muhammad and we're going to pray to Mecca and all that other stuff. So you don't have to be a Muslim to believe in Islam.
But is it possible that there are Muslims out there that do not practice Islam?
Yes, but it's not very common. I don't think there's very many atheists over there. Let's put it that way. Okay. Point of my story is I read this on RT. You're familiar with RT, correct?
Mm-hmm.
RT is Russia Today. They had somebody, and I'm going to mispronounce her name, but she, you know how I just said, how do we solve the problem in North Korea, right? Now, did that sound like it was feasible?
Yeah.
Now, it probably won't happen, right? And you could be like, oh, well, China would never cooperate with us. And, there are ways, but you never know unless you ask, right? You look somebody in the eyes and say, I think this is my idea, right?
Trump will take care of it.
Yeah, Trump will take care of it. He's the art of the deal. How can we make this happen? How can we make this North Korea problem? Again, sit down with the guy. Talk to him. We don't hate China. I'm afraid of China. We say this like the last 10 Beacon of speeches in a row. Okay? But anyhow, I read this article on RT. It was by Marwa Osman. Okay? Marwaosman. And she wrote an excellent article, one of the best articles I've read all year. And she goes to the University of Beirut in Lebanon. Okay? Now, what Marwa said, okay, is we are Catholics, correct? Me and you. Are we good Catholics?
No, I'm not.
No, we're bad Catholics. Okay? But who is in charge of the Catholic religion?
The Pope.
The Pope. And even this is Catholicism
Big
101.
fan of the show.
The Pope lives in Vatican City, right? The Vatican City rules itself. Okay? Now, the Vatican City does not answer to Italy, right? The Vatican City is its own country. But Italy is all the way around, okay? Italy agrees not to invade Vatican City. Nobody's going to go invade Vatican City. They're not going to trudge through Italy to take over the Catholic religion, right? Marwa, I'm going to say it over and over.
Mar-a-Lago.
She said a lot of the problems in the Muslim world, and again, you could say Islamic world, but, whatever, okay, is, do you know where Mecca is?
Do I know where Mecca
Do
is?
you know where Mecca is?
It's Saudi Arabia, isn't it?
Yes, it's in Saudi Arabia. As an adult, every adult must, if you're good,
Let's make a pilgrimage.
must make the pilgrimage to Mecca. Okay, now, which way is east? I'm trying to think. I'm going to your house. I'm going this way. Okay, if we were good.
This is north, I think, and that would be east.
So we would go east, okay? If we were good and we were praying to Mecca, we would have to pray that way. And we would have to make one pilgrimage to Mecca.
Did I tell you that one of the times I was in Chicago, I saw a truck driver get out and he had like a prayer rug and he kneeled down and I swear he was facing north. Well, I wasn't going to say anything.
I'm sorry.
Because I'm like thinking, I'm pretty sure that's wrong.
Yeah. I have no comment on that.
Maybe he was a Polish Muslim.
But yeah, he's facing towards Gdansk. But anyhow, they said a lot of the problems is a lot of people in the Middle East are pissed off at Saudi Arabia, right? And we were bashing on Saudi Arabia last week here. But they said what they need to do is take Mecca away from Saudi Arabia and let Mecca be like the Vatican City, where even though it's in Saudi Arabia, Mecca is run by its own faith. It's the head of the Islamic faith. And I'm like, that is a great idea.
Who said this? Marwa?
Yeah, Marwa. And she said the rationale is people from Iran, people from Qatar, that everything that's wrong with the pilgrimage, it wasn't that long ago where hundreds of people died in stampedes and the Saudi Arabian government was like, what are you going to do about it when you get all these poor people trekking into Saudi Arabia? You know what I mean? And so it made 100% perfect sense. I'm like, why not let Mecca be...
So Mecca is a city, right?
Yeah, it's a city, and everybody has to go there. Well, a lot of people go to the Vatican City. They make pilgrimage. You don't by Catholic law. You don't have to go make a pilgrimage to Vatican City. But how many people go to St. Peter's Square and see the Pope? Right, millions of people. Right. So why can't they make Mecca? It just does Mecca City or the holy city in Mecca and have it be its own thing, and then you take away the power that Saudi Arabia has in not all of it, but you diffuse some of that power. Now there's still no way to get to Mecca without going through Saudi Arabia, okay? But what you're doing is there's a lot of politics in taking the pilgrimage now, whether it's from Qatar, whether it's from Bangladesh, whether wherever you're going to Saudi Arabia. And I'm like, this girl has a great solution. Now, who is she? She's just a student. She's a PhD student in Lebanon, right? Well, she probably had to take the pilgrimage, and she's like, this sucks going from Lebanon to Saudi Arabia, and it's a big rigmarole, right? Why is Saudi Arabia in charge? I don't pray to the people of Saudi Arabia. I don't pray to the House of Fawd. I pray to Allah and I pray to Muhammad. Right?
Now, how long do they stay there when they make the pilgrimage?
Oh, that I have no idea.
Or does it vary?
I
mean, what are you supposed to do once you get there?
You pray. Ted, even I know that. And
is that all you do? Or?
Well, I think you have to eat. But it's still the unwashed masses pouring into Saudi Arabia.
Just ask them questions.
The questions I have no answers to. But it goes, and the reason I bring it up is she has a great idea. What can she do to make that happen? She can do literally nothing. She has no power. Number one, she's a woman in Lebanon, okay? They probably would, the chances of the House of Fawd in Saudi Arabia listening to her are zero because she's a woman. But that doesn't make her idea not a great idea. You see what I'm saying? Uh-huh. And it's the same thing with the North Korean. Who is speaking a speech, right? I'm a schlub, you're a schlub. I know you hate it when you say we're schlubs, but we are. Donald Trump is not going to listen to us.
I know you hate it when I say we're schlubs, but I'll say it again.
Yeah, but I'll say it again. But I think it's a good idea, right? And my mom read it, and I know you don't want to talk about your mom. Oh, my mom says I'm handsome, right? My mom read the article, and she goes, well, why aren't you promoting this more? This is a really good article. And I'm like, because people already think I'm a nutcase. Okay, and the more I talk about solving problems on the North Korean peninsula, the more they think I'm in anonymous. They think that me and you are putting on masks.
You need to focus more on solving problems in North Ridgeville.
Yeah, you need to solve the problem, which goes back to Cobra, who's, outing the scumbags and the meth addicts. So, what are you doing in your local community?
Think globally and act locally.
Yes, that's exactly right. So, but that's all I had on my list today, because I wanted to give her credit, okay? Because it's very rare that I read something that makes so much sense, and I'm like, I really wish somebody would listen to this writer. Like, this writer is spot on, and it would solve problems, and it would diffuse situations.
Well, didn't that newsletter you were reading earlier in my living room, did that make as much sense?
No. Ted made me read the propaganda newsletter from his work. And I'm not sure that was going to solve any problems. That was going to cause more
All the
problems.
answers are in there.
This was beacon number 62.
Fred said that, not me. I believe everything can be solved by reading.
This is beacon number 62. Okay? I finished the outline. I did not pick a song of the day, so start thinking about song of the day. I am going to talk a little bit about things that are tied into us real quick. A couple of things came up. First of all, me and Ted were in a movie called Blasphemers. You should check that out on YouTube. Okay, we don't always promote that. I write a blog on Beacon of Speech, and Ted is in it sometimes. So go to beaconofspeech.com to watch videos or read the blog. Okay? I also did, and this is why I bring it up, I also did a book called American Suicide. It came out in the year 2011. Some death metal band named themselves American Suicide within the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
The American...
So you're going to sue?
No, because I don't have a problem with them. The American Suicide band page has a cross, and then it says American Suicide, and then it's got another cross, okay? American Suicide, the band, has about as many views as Beacon of Speech. So I'm not going to pick on those guys. I'm not going to sue them, but I believe they're a death metal band. I got to find out where they're from. All of a sudden, my book is getting hits almost every day looking for the death metal band. I figured you'd get a kick out of that. Okay? So, we do not have a Beacon of Speech Facebook page because I already got the 2. And I'm waiting if we get a corporate partner that...
See, what you should have done, instead of calling this Beacon of Speech, you should have called it something that was very similar to something that's very popular.
And then we could make some money.
You know what I mean? Where people would go there by mistake.
Yeah. So I have to mention that we are Beacon of Speech, and we are a local...
Although Beacon the parakeet or whatever...
Beacon the cockatiel is still getting hits like crazy.
So that didn't work.
No, it didn't work. Not in our case. We're not getting hit.
Because what was it, a cockatoo?
It was a cockatiel or cockatoo, whatever the hell.
Well, he or she was extremely popular.
200,000 hits.
So my idea apparently didn't work.
I think it was a swearing cockatiel.
Wow.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to bring that up is to be very clear who we are, what we do. We have a blog.
That's kind of sad that more people want to listen to that.
More people want to listen to American Suicide to death metal?
No, I mean the bird then.
Oh, yeah, that's even sadder. Because you're like...
They're more interested in what the bird has to say than we are.
Because you're like, damn it! And then the bird goes, squawk, squawk, damn it! And you're like, oh, that's awesome! Let's watch it again!
Maybe the bird can take us under his wing.
What do you want the song of the day to be, and we'll end it?
The continuing story of Bungalow Bill.
Okay. They might play that next week. Continuing story, and that's the Beatles.
Yeah,
story
the White Album.
Of
Bungalow Bill.
Bungalow Bill. Bungalow Bill. By the Beatles. I'm writing it down.